sticks to the outside. He put it all together with the correct insulators and everything, but he forgot to tighten it. Okay, so once the whole thing was back together, I said, "Oh, that post
What do you
is
use
loose."
that? And I've used it on the front door.
So
I thought about using
I've
it
got
on
the
boat stuff.
distributor all back together. We just have to put it back.
I'll tell you what, it's good stuff for interior. I got a
You got a
pecan.
pecan table. You just use it for
Watch out.
You can use it for walls.
Okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
I used
And
to-
then he also
If
told
it's
me
an
to make sure it was
interior-
short.
Okay, good to meet you. Nice to meet you.
I'm Mark.
Is that John?
This is John Abel.
Well, I was out of town. I'm renting it from Outlet.
You can't ship any out because you can't make it clear plastic for windshields because everybody put in the steam car.
Poor son.
Oh yeah, it's Judah. Yeah.
You get a bad reputation hanging out with these guys here. This is bad for my reputation, Trey. Stay away from me.
We have a 15th WBA in person as well as live on Zoom. The various people on there.
My name's Rita Bell.
Just got it registered today, so it's been a real journey. It's a 1946 Dutch Grundel, and it's a sail-driven 23-foot.
That shear liner. It's a triple cockpit, 27-foot long, mahogany runabout, called molded West system. It's actually the second wooden boat I've owned. I owned the Chris Craft Super Sport, a 24-foot.
We have the Nevada Yellow Jacket in small number 1. So we're full and we're receiving rent revenues to help keep the shop fund strong, for which we thank Carl
Before
Lapisca.
and after pictures of a boat that we bought in Canada, and just I go back to kindergarten together in Kansas City, Missouri, and we grew up together. We went all the way through grade school and high school together. We both married girls.
Ride from Dick Peterson in Black Beauty, and it was a gorgeous boat. I remember Dick taking my wife and I out, and we loved it. And the reason why I got a ride in it was because I bought
Some of the stuff that I'm doing. What I'm trying to do today, we've got a deal going where we're going to have like 2 sessions. And what we're going to try to do is talk on varnishing, refinishing, and some of the things that we do in our shop. And in some of these things, as you'll know, there's 1,000 ways to make a repair job. And so there's always different techniques. So not only am I doing what I'm doing, although I want to be around the fumes that go with this, but it does have an application for large materials. If your color it off, use the heat gun. This piece right here is what I did in about 30 seconds. Put the heat application to it, it bubbles up, you can see it, and you scrape it, it comes off very easy. To apply a stain that will either, complement the boat, which is what its natural manufacturing process is, and 80 grit to me spreads the stain very well. If you have mahogany, very good Interlux, I use Pettit, and I use all the other regular stains that are allowed, but these guys are really good. The only thing I like about Interlux, obviously, is their longevity of their material, but it takes 24 hours for that to dry. With me, production about 4.5 hours ago. The reason why I use that is that epoxy sealer also acts as a primer to whatever varnish I'm going to put on next. I have had problems with certain oil stains that when I put a varnish on it, they don't quite bond very well. And I've actually had full varnish sheets pull off in big sections because it didn't bond to the oil base of whatever we're using. Put your stain on there, now you've sealed it. 2 ways to seal. I use the epoxy. If you don't have epoxy, use your varnish. Your first coat of varnish is going to be thinned 25%. In other words, 25% varnish, 75% mineral spirits. You want a 25% consistency, because what that's going to do is that's going to soak into the grain of the wood, and when you layer up on top of that, the bonding agent of the new varnish kicks off the last, and now you have a bonding agent of the varnish that's soaked into the wood. You got a grain bonding, and that's why the second coat you'll do 50% because of the fluidity. You want it to seal. One of the neat things about brushes is that you get such good depth and build up by it, and you control your little section that you're working with. A lot of the old timers used a badger hair brush or a natural animal brush hair for their brushes. In Holland. And you know, them Vikings, they've been selling longer than anybody else. Consequently, if they know something, I'm gonna go with them. So, but I like Epiphanes. It works real well in Texas. Now I've used Captain's are, you'll get a holiday. And a holiday is that spot where it just wasn't quite thick enough to give you that gloss feeling. So this is so thick, it's like maple syrup. When you work with your varnish, it is important to condition it. And I use this right here. It's Penetrol Floetrol. You don't have to use this. You can use a very high-grade mineral spirit, which is 100% mineral spirits. It's soaked up on here, and I'll go with the grain. That's all right. I'll get it. I'll go with the grain. I'll go against the grain, and then I'll stop. And I'll put this down. The tipping off is the important part, because with the foam pad, you've introduced a lot of air into the foam brush. Again, very lightly, just tip off. Just like this, moving it on over.
Have you wetted that foam brush?
I have not. The foam brush is dry as can be. Now, over a period of time, this will load up. And I go and buy boxes from Home Depot, because my shop is air conditioned to keep the humidity down but not the temperature. I like my shop's about 75, 85 degrees. The humidity is down. The two parts.
Yes, sir. We're going to start that motor.
Ready? I'm ready.